New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
And hello again, dear ones. Dr. Robert with you here. This is a very special show, and it's on a unique time because of that. And I want to invite each and every one of you that's watching this to share what you're about to experience. So as many of you know, recently I had the great pleasure to attend the Parliament of the World's Religions, A Call to Conscience, Defending Freedom and Human Rights. And during that experience, we had a unique opportunity here at New Thought Media Network to put together an interview with presidential candidate Marianne Williamson. So this was recorded about a week and a half ago. We're going to share that interview in its entirety with you in just a few moments. But before we get there, I thought it might be, you might enjoy, and I think it's rather important that we share the talk and the speech that she gave in the morning session that same day. So you'll notice that her outfit is the same. And I decided to wear the same shirt today to make that happen as well. And so first we're going to listen to, it's about an 8-minute speech by Marianne Williamson that she presented to the Parliament of the World's Religions. Then I'll come back for a quick minute and we'll get a chance to watch my direct interview with her and the questions I asked her about the Parliament and her run for president, and as well some of the comments she made in this speech. So without further ado, let's get started. Here we go.
And New York Times best-selling author, Marianne Williamson.
Thank you. Thank you so much. What an honor to be here. And truly just hearing the words of James Lawson and all of the speakers, actually both of the speakers that preceded him, I'm happy to have the chance to add my words into the deep listening that they have already created. I want to begin by telling a story, something that happened to me when I was probably 15 years old. I had gone to Sunday school, and after Sunday school, it would be on the Sabbath Saturday, we're Jewish, and afterwards we would go into the sanctuary and we would hear the rabbi's sermon. And I heard the rabbi speak out against the Vietnam War. And I thought, wow, temple can be relevant. Wow, religion can be like really lay it down. He's this cool man after all. And it really impacted me so much that I have never forgotten it. And a couple of days later at dinner, my mother made a comment to my father. And she said, "Ooh, I hear the rabbi's in trouble." My father said, "What happened?" She said, "Well, apparently at the service on Saturday, he came out against the Vietnam War. And a lot of people weren't very happy with that." And I learned a lot from those two incidents. What happened on that Saturday morning, as well as that conversation with my parents, showed me how the world works. We all know what conscience is. We all know that small, still voice for God. It is in all of us, except a very, very, very tiny percentage of the world's people who are apparently born without one. And the person who has no conscience is called a sociopath. A person who has no remorse or conscience or regret for shameful action is called a sociopath. There is such a thing as healthy shame. But what those of us who are religious clergy or leaders, or nonprofit leaders, or whatever other reason brings us here today, know the dirty little secret about how our country and our world operates. We have a socio-economic political system that mitigates against the real expression of conscience. It's one thing for us to say, oh, we need to care about the authoritarians who are at the door, and we do. It's one thing for us to say we have to worry about the strong men and the fascists who are at the door, and we do. But what I believe is our greatest calling is to create a world where they couldn't even get that close to the door. That's the real problem. Franklin Roosevelt said that we wouldn't have to worry about a fascist takeover as long as democracy delivered on its promises. James Lawson was correct. You won't have to worry about the strong man as long as you feed that hungry child. You won't have to worry about the authoritarian as long as you make sure that people have health care, that people have food, that people have dignity, that people can work at one job. And when the cardinal spoke about our worrying about environmental sustainability, boy, he's right. But every clergy person here knows how likely it is in many cases that if you get up on a Sunday morning or a Saturday morning or wherever your religious service is, and you speak about environmental sustainability, I know that there are people in this audience who would be told by a board member later, oh, you stay away from political issues now, because there are people who give money to this church or who give money to the synagogue or give money to this ashram, and to them it's all a hoax. In other words, ladies and gentlemen and everyone else, this is a Dietrich Bonhoeffer moment in history. This is a moment when it's not enough for us to say we really should be the conscience of the world. It's time for us to face how really hard that is in today's world. If you really speak out as a nonprofit activist, if you really speak out as a religious leader, and I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if you speak out as a political candidate, the institutional resistance to our daring to suggest that feeding a child is more important than corporate profits, that poverty in the global South is more important than corporate profits, that humanitarian and democratic ideals is more than corporate profits. Ooh, you're a radical. And I would say that religion is radical. In today's world, if we are to honestly not only take it in as abstract concept, not only even take it in our hearts, but take it in viscerally in our gut, to really believe, to really stand, to really dedicate our lives to the idea that we must walk in mercy, we must walk humbly with our God, and we must love one another, is not to always be liked. The people pleaser in us must die in order for the genuine spiritual leader to live. In a world where unfettered vulture capitalism has come to dominate the way our nations operate, we are living at a time where repudiating that and rejecting that is the great social and, I believe, spiritual calling of our time. And if we do not take up that calling, there will be no keeping the fascists away. There will be no keeping the strong man away. If the people of Germany had not been so desperate, if there had not been great groups of desperate people, Hitler could not have been able to harness the power that he harnessed. As long as you have large groups of desperate people, you will have a fascist or an authoritarian or a strongman just licking their chops, waiting to come in. Because when people are desperate and people are damaged and people are vulnerable, they will go with anything that promises a better way. And so while one world is crumbling in our midst, another world is struggling to be born. And I believe that we are called to be death doulas to the old and birth doulas to the new. As spiritual and religious leaders, nonprofit activists, any of us who are called by the great religious wisdom of the world, we are here to testify and bear witness to the crucifixion and to bring forth the resurrection. We are here to testify, to bear witness to the agony of the suffering of the Israelites in Egypt, and to be the Moses consciousness which will lead the world to the promised land. This is not a time for sissies. This is not a time for lightweight spiritual platitudes. And this is not a time for religious hypocrisy. This is a time for each and every one of us to say, whether it was, as in my case, that I was lucky enough to hear Rabbi Malev, who did not lose his job, by the way, or we have been inspired by any other religious, spiritual, political, or social leader, let us be gone with any aspect of self or society that would shut us up. We are here to love one another, and we're going to stand on that. We're here to promote justice and mercy and love in our hearts for every man, woman, child, everyone, and for the earth itself. And whether the world appreciates it, whether the economic order appreciates it, whether the political order appreciates it, whether our donors appreciate it, or whether any other institutional reality mocks us, derides us, or seeks to obstruct us, our success lies in the fact that we can look in the mirror and say to ourselves, including on the last day of our lives, damn, I laid it down while I was here. Thank you very, very, very much. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. God bless you, everybody.
I'm going to tell you, folks, it was electric in that hall. Incredibly large group of people, and it was electric to be there and to hear that speech live. And there are so many things. We would be here all day if I tried to pull all that apart. So what happened is, now I want to give you a little bit of the story. So I was not aware that Marianne would be at the Parliament. When we arrived, it was after we arrived that it was shared with me that she would be speaking. And what I know is, because New Thought Media Network is a media organization, when we registered with the Parliament, they asked us to register as press, because we're shooting a documentary while we're on inside the experience, inside the halls. We were shooting a documentary, which will be released in November. And so they asked us to register as press so that our badges would say press and people would understand that we had permission to be wheeling cameras around and filming all kinds of interesting stuff. Well, that also opened the door to communications with the PR and press directors at the Parliament of World Religions. So with a whole bunch of emails and a whole bunch of texting, we were able to connect with Marianne's press secretary and assistant. And when you know it, that woman went out of her way to help us get some time alone with Marianne. And it was a very interesting experience of hurry up and wait. Okay, hold on. We're going to be here. Nope, we're going to be here. Oh, we're doing this. Okay, we're doing this. But what happened is we did eventually get some time to be with her and connect with her. And that's what I want to share with you next. So this is my one-on-one interview with Marianne Williamson. I trust you'll enjoy. I'm here with presidential candidate Marianne Williamson, and you gave one hot spitfire of a talk earlier today. I was wrapped in attention, and it was really amazing. So, number one, thank you for taking time to be with us today.
Thank you for having me.
And one of the very first questions I'd like to ask is, why was it important for you? I can imagine how busy your schedule is and how many places you're asked to be in a day or in a week. Why was it important for you to be here and to speak and to share and be a part of the Parliament of the World's Religions?
Because I want to speak into the listening of the kind of people that we want to be here. Because if you are called to the Parliament of World Religions, that means that you understand the necessity of spiritual transformation. Mm-hmm. And I believe, you know, there are two ways to look at changing the world. One is along the horizontal axis, one is along the vertical axis. If you look at global change, political change, economic change, spiritual change, only in terms of the horizontal, that means you think the point is to get more and more people to agree with you, and you are constantly tempted to dumb down your message, chip away at what you really think. If you are looking at it in terms of the vertical, you aren't thinking in terms of how many people agree with you at any particular moment, but with how deep you take the conversation. And in a place like this,
that's where you find people who are ready to go deeper in the conversation. That's the whole point. Who understand that we must address cause rather than just symptom. Who understand the devastation that is being wrought on this planet towards the earth and towards people and towards animals, and in a way towards any possibility of a thriving future. Who are living in the grief of it, but also looking for the solutions and the path to a more beautiful world. So that's why I want to be here. I want to be, not only do I want to be part of that conversation, I feel I'm already part of that conversation, and the effort I'm making now is to harness the power of that conversation for political purposes. So what better place to be?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Thank you. And what would you say is the role of Parliament of World Religions as we move forward as humanity, as an evolving consciousness?
Well, let's not get too enamored with form here. Okay. It's content. I mean, it will be whatever role it chooses to play. The Parliament of World Religions will have the same temptations that any worldly institution has. And it will be up to the leaders of this organization to stay on deeper purpose. But I know, having founded nonprofits, having had my career, including political, I know, I can only assume. I don't know any facts, I don't know any details, I haven't heard any scuttlebutt, it's not like that, but I just know how these things work. So I'm sure there's a lot of temptation within this organization to keep it copacetic, to keep it so that not too many people are offended, right?
Right.
And if you really, it's like I said in my talk, religion is a radical message. Love one another, that is a very radical message. To allow mercy, compassion. If you really believe in the very impulse of love, mercy, compassion, humility, then you must stand for justice. You must stand for brotherhood. You must stand for democracy, or any system that allows people to thrive. And we're in the midst of a profound historical change on the planet today. And I don't think there's any such thing as a neutral life. You're either actively involved in giving birth to the new, or you are being taken down. You are at the effect of the crumbling of an old order.
Yeah, standing in the way.
Or allowing it to stand in your way, which then means you're standing in the way because you're not participating. We need all of us to be involved. There's nobody standing in this room who's not carrying their piece of it. Each and every one of us, it's like a huge net, and everybody has to carry their part. And I think what I was trying to say this morning is, it's easy enough to say we believe in conscience.
Right.
I mean, come on. Like, who's going to say, no, I don't like conscience? I mean, come on. That's not. But we need to take it to the next step, which is that the economic system that dominates the planet doesn't have one.
Okay.
Hello. That's the point. You have a sociopathic economic system which has undue influence. Now, I don't believe that capitalism itself has no conscience. That's not inherent to it. Adam Smith, who was the primary architect of free market capitalism, said it cannot exist outside an ethical center.
Right. Okay.
So the point is, this is going to bring everything down, including capitalism, if we don't begin to honor that you must put human life first. You simply must. You must put the survivability of the planet first. You cannot financialize everything.
Right.
You can't make everything about financial profit. You can't turn everything into a commodity. You can't turn the earth into a commodity. You can't turn people into a commodity. You must not. There has to be a line. And that line must be drawn by people. And if those who involve themselves with religion and spirituality don't, what are we here for? Martin Luther King said, any religion that claims to care about the soul of a man, but does not address the economic and social conditions that shackle him, is a moribund religion awaiting burial.
That's a quote I had not heard. Thank you very much for that. You talk about, you speak about the talk that you gave this morning, and at the end of that, you brought forth a very powerful piece that on the day that you make your transition from this mortal coil, you want to be able to know that you laid it down.
You laid it down.
And what we've all been wondering here is, what exactly does that mean to you? What does it look like what will it look like for you to know that you gave it all, that you laid it all on the line for?
Well, you know, the very fact that I'm a presidential candidate kind of says that I'm out there willing to spend whatever resources I have, and you know, it's a difficult experience, but clearly I'm doing what I can to articulate the vision that I think everybody I know, everybody here at this conference is already working with and into articulating. I don't think I'm saying anything everybody I know isn't saying. I'm not saying anything everybody at this conference isn't already talking about. We all know the perils in the world at this time, and we also know the possibilities. We're all living within the tragedy of that dichotomy between what the world is and what it could be. Already everybody gets that. This is not an era of data collection. That era is over, and that's why what I was saying today was, now it's about, do you have the bravery to do this? Do you have the courage to do this? And I think you know, in my case, that means, are you willing to take it off the page? Right. Because you can write about these things and be applauded. You can write about these things and make money. You can write about these things and have a bestseller. You know, you're not going to, and that is not to in any way minimize that role, because I think that role, the role of the author, the role of the writer, everybody's role is important. But we all must realize that because we have been successful, because we've been successful enough that now enough of us get it, now what are we going to do? And this is another place where I think that those among us who come from the spiritual and religious sector have an important role to play in articulating not only what we need to do, but how we need to do it. Everything we do is infused with the consciousness with which we do it. Going back to Martin Luther King, he said you have very little morally persuasive power with people who can feel your underlying contempt. And I think for those of us sometimes who do stand for justice, who do stand, there's a tendency, particularly on the left side of the political spectrum, who are standing for those things, to come at it carrying our anger, carrying our, and that's not going to get us anywhere.
Right.
We have to practice the art of moral persuasion and the art of awakening conscience. So there's as much inner work as outer work for us to do at this time.
Beautiful. Thank you. Two more quick questions. Number one, how would you suggest others get involved, help amplify your message, help to really break through the barrier of perhaps where you are now and where many of us see you being a year from now, and let's say early January of 2025.
Thank you. Just hold that thought. Go to Marianne2024.com. That's Marianne, M-A-R-I-A-N-N-E, 2024.com, and do what you can. It could be $1, $2, $3. Don't underestimate what those $5 a month donations are doing for this campaign. So no amount is too little. And just go up to what you feel comfortable, what is true for you, and volunteer. People who are volunteering, getting on the national volunteer calls, phone banking, and depending on what state they live in, just to be active. When we talk here about conscience, it's really, we're talking about that small still voice within.
Yes.
The small voice for God, which in both Christianity and Judaism is mentioned. Mahatma Gandhi, when they asked him, who is the leader of the Indian independence movement, he said, the small still voice within. So get involved however you feel moved. Marianne2024.com, post it on your social media, talk to your friends, give what you can, volunteer. We have a very short window here, and we all need to take advantage of it as best we can.
Beautiful, thank you. And if you can, in 30 seconds or so, what is your vision for humanity moving forward?
War will one day be a memory. They'll have museums, and little children will ask their parents, is it true? Is it true that those people used to like kill each other in big groups? And the parents would say, yeah, honey, but that was a long, long time ago, and it never happens anymore.
Right on. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Cool. All right. May I Oh, of course, I muted my microphone. And there it is, folks. I trust you heard a theme emerging between those two pieces. I do want to say Marianne was incredibly gracious, was so much fun to hang out with, and we ended up chatting for a few more minutes after that. And of course, she was off to another event and experience. Shout out to Reverend Cynthia. Yes, I agree. She is brilliant. And, you know, folks, what I want to remind everybody is we're not telling you you have to go vote for this woman. We're not telling you that you have to vote for what she believes in. But we are saying that you have to vote, and you have to vote more than ever with your conscience. And what I heard more than anything in both of these two pieces is for us to be able to listen deeply and then act, and then take action from our consciousness and to move forward. The day of the sociopathic economic system needs to end. The day of over-capitalism needs to end. And what I heard again and again is that it's going to take people. It's going to take people to do it. If you're one of those people, amen, and so be it. And I love the fact that you're saying yes to it. Please keep us involved, keep us informed in what you're doing. A couple of shout outs again. Reverend Cynthia, thank you, dear one. I appreciate those kudos. Mr. Mangus, Reverend, in the room. Michael was running the cameras for us that day. And exactly, the world needs high consciousness people everywhere we are. So please share this with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it far and wide. Push it out on YouTube. Push it out on Facebook. Send links to your Instagram or anywhere else you might happen to be. Let people know what we're doing here and what New Thought Media Network is up to, because I'll tell you, it's thanks to our donors, it's thanks to our sponsors that we were even able to be in Chicago and make this happen. As I said at the top of the broadcast, we're creating a documentary of our week there, and that'll be available in November. So so before we go, we're going to say a quick thank you to our donors and our sponsors. So don't click off that button just yet. Stick around for one more minute and help us say thank you to a few folks. Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Spiritual Center, Kitchener, Om Center for Spiritual Living, La Mesa, Satya Center, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for making New Thought Media Network a place to be. Please come be you. And remember, like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring. Yes, thank you to all of our organizational donors and organizational sponsors and individual donors. We love you. We appreciate you. We're so happy that you're able to help us get this mighty message out into the world. If you'd like to get your name or organization on our thank you video, please head on over to ntmedia.org. Click on the donate button, make it a monthly contribution, and we'll add you to the next version of our thank you video. All right, I'm Dr. Robert. I'm out of here for now. I love you. You are amazing. Until next time, I want to wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.